process of solving an emergency with my daughter. I'll be right back.
Oh.
Okay, teenagers.
Mhm.
Um, so next steps for the discovery menu. Well, we've obviously got this long list of feedback, and so one of the things we're doing is picking out what we often see, as the big wins for little work, because they're sort of no-brainers that we can knock in a day, and they make people's lives a bit better. One of the obvious ones that we're instantly jumping on is making it that you can pull bubbles out of the discovery menu just like you can out of the risk menu and things, so it makes it easier for people to stay together.
Mhm.
I think one thing for people to know with the discovery menu, and certainly the things we do first, is don't feel dismayed if it seems like the thing you've suggested isn't going to happen. Often the order that things will get done is actually going to be sorted by easiness for us. If we can do something quickly, we'll do it. Doesn't necessarily mean we think it's the most important thing.
Mm.
But aside from responding to the feedback, I think the way we see the discovery, the really valuable things we see coming to the discovery menu in terms of features very soon. We're very interested in getting things like favorites and likes in there next. I think there'll be a huge addition, especially if you can favorite a location inside Infiniverse as well as just favoriting rooms, so you can easily jump between places. And then being able to share places that you like on your own feed with other people, so that one person can actually produce lists of interesting places to see for other people. That whole area, I think, is huge, and that'll be an imminent thing for us to work on the discovery menu.
Mhm.
There's an obvious missing thing in discovery is, being able to search directly,
Yes.
and also more specific filters. We held back on those initially for two reasons. One is it involves text entry, and text entry is just really, really hard to program and a pain in the arse.
Mm-hmm.
But we also felt they're quite programmery features. The discovery menu should be an awesome way to discover stuff without initially needing filters. It should present you with cool things without you having to click a filter button. And we wanted to make sure that we didn't kind of cop out from making it good by sort of cheating. We're going, oh, well, they can find something good by clicking the right tick box. We wanted to get something out there and make sure people liked it before we cheated with fiddly little options that people didn't really want to have to click. But they will come. There's a place on the discovery menu for them, and they're an obvious thing that we'll get in sooner or later. A big thing that's coming very soon that has probably been mentioned but not officially announced is, everybody knows we do events.
Yep.
We are gradually introducing and have been working with a few people to make it that just like you can create your own locations and your own metaverses, you'll be able to create and schedule your own events in Multiverse. And then those will appear on the discovery menu, and they'll be potentially featured there, and there'll be a button on the event to request us to feature it on the Oculus store as well. So that's going to be another interesting way for people to use the discovery menu and also market their stores and get their content seen by lots of people.
I think that one's the key point of the whole thing, really. That the aim of us long run is to make the discovery menu and Infiniverse as a whole a place for users to promote their own content and easily tailor the platform in a way that showboats or showcases their efforts and their work. And I already know, and I don't know if you've already seen, Chris, I imagine so, some of the banners and descriptions that people are creating for their stores, their properties, they are very, very smart and very ingenious, some of them. I've heard people already coming up with metas on how to describe their property in a way that increases the likelihood of it being sold. It's fascinating.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, it really made me feel a bit, I don't know, emotional the first time I brought up the discovery menu after people had started filling it in, and it suddenly presented in your face the wealth of not just content but effort that people have put into making all these places that are suddenly presented to us in one place. The algorithm, just so people know from an SEO perspective, does boost places that have filled out all of their discovery menu options.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing. I love it. I like just opening it and looking at what's there.
Yeah, and because it will
opening and closing the menu,
consistently changing every single day as well, just because of the sheer volume of content that users are putting in there. It's fascinating to. I don't know if you had the same feeling as I did, but when you were in Infiniverse before, you had to really scan around and look for other users' creations, and now to be able to see it instantaneously and just see how many people have creations in Infiniverse, and now you can just easily access it without getting confused. It's brilliant. I love seeing just how many creative people we have in the platform. It's stunning, to say the least.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah. Can I jump in here? I'd love to say something. Highly recommend people take very seriously the idea of using the customization content available to you. So the discovery menu, icon, banner, and description. For people who are frustrated about the lower price, put it in the description. Say what price you look for. I understand that we need to provide some tech solution, but right in the description of your property, which is going to appear in the discovery menu, say, I'm looking for offers in excess of X for this beautiful 3-balcony penthouse overlooking King Kong.
Exactly.
Whatever it is you're doing, take the opportunity of those tools that we've given you to make your apartments, your penthouses, your storefronts, your metaverses, your locations, your events stand out. The whole point here is we're trying to give you the tools that mean that we can help you succeed and that we can promote those of you that do awesome work. We've obviously going to be featuring, as you've seen in the discovery menu, content from various different places, and those features are going to be partly defined by people that do a really good job of promoting and marketing themselves. The better your storefront looks when the feature banner is put up there and we test it, the more likely it is that we're going to be featuring it. If you've got an ugly banner, or if your discovery menu icon doesn't work with the safe zone, then it's less likely that we'll be promoting your product. So think about that. Think about using it. User events, discovery menu, content, and if you're going to try and promote your penthouse or your apartment for sale, make it look good. Hey, Chris, make it look good. Put some banners in there that tell people why your penthouse at the top of Fort Cronic is so awesome and worth so much more than anything else.
Yeah, exactly, Chris.
So those are the things that I can recommend, and really, we as a team are looking at that thing every day, all day, and loving most of what we see, and we'll be promoting and featuring stuff that looks great.
I think as well, now more than ever, especially with the descriptions, now is a great opportunity to describe what is on your panels. A lot of people underestimate the power of that. Like, if you have some kind of exclusive images that you've taken that you want to sell with your apartment, then put them in the panels and say, hey, I've got this artwork that I've drawn. It comes with the apartment. That's what I'm going to do. I know. I don't know if anybody else is going to do it, but it's a great opportunity now to actually tell people in the descriptions of your listed property, if you buy this apartment, you're also going to get this incredible portrait I did, or it's spooky themed with all the pictures I've drawn. It'll be great. I have seen a few questions pop up over the last 2-3 days. Not a lot of people specifically aimed around the discovery menu. I think yesterday the majority of people who had feedback, who had questions, we took it all in. I know we haven't responded to everybody, but we are keeping that feedback together, and we're looking at it, and we won't be able to respond to everybody with regards to that. It's just impossible. There's too many of you. But the questions that I have had come through are mainly around how do you think the economy is now going to adjust for penthouses versus apartments? And do you think that the market rate for apartments will increase at all, or do we have plans to adjust the algorithm at all to give like a better base rate?
So I mean, well, it's no secret the economy means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it a lot. Our goal with Infiniverse, I mean, always is to try and gradually transition ourselves to reflect what a real market looks like, and that there's all kinds of elements to that, but one of them absolutely is the ability for people to advertise themselves on the market, and that the discovery menu is going to do that to a degree. One of the big searches, which was San's idea, which we got in and loved very quickly, was it will periodically do things like pop up apartments for sale near King Kong. Sorry, near a giant gorilla. I don't know who this King Kong guy is, but a giant gorilla. And we will push things like that. But I think the key that means, it's partly it will mean that apartments near there do actually gain in value because people can find them and things. But it also will have a real effect on this concept of scarcity in the world, because the way I've always said scarcity will have to work in Infiniverse, the way it works in the real world is it's about localized scarcity. It's about, have you got an apartment near the planetarium or near a giant gorilla? And the discovery menu is going to allow you to start marketing that fact. It's going to it's going to make it very visible to the world that certain places are more valuable than other places. We're not just pushing near a giant gorilla, we're actually highlighting valuable properties, and we're highlighting properties that sold for a lot and things like that. So I think it's going to help the market evolve closer towards how a real world market works. And we'll start to see places of interest increase in value and places that aren't of interest decrease in value, and that change over time. It's exciting. I think the knock-ons of the discovery menu for the economy are subtle, but they will be there, and I think they will be powerful, and they'll gradually affect the market over time. And in a few months, we may not recognize the market, even though it just changed a little bit every day.
Have you recognized anything about the app 2 months later? But yes.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I think just from one day of the offers system being in use, we've already seen a shift anyway of people really taking advantage and sitting back and going, actually, rather than it just being worth X amount because of the algorithm saying it's this base amount, I actually value it higher because it's got this, 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 and this. And I know previously people were almost entirely basing it on what the algorithm valued it as, but now with the office system, people truly are taking time to consider, actually, I never thought about selling this before. If I'm getting offers for this amount, is it more, is it less? I've seen the people having debates about it, whether or not the value that they're being offered is actually what they should accept, or if they should go higher. And it's great. I think more of that's going to happen. People are going to create their own values in districts, for example. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, and one of the things I think is also important to understand from the evolution side of things is we are going to be looking very carefully at the SEO, how things appear, where things appear, and we will be changing that and fixing that up. So be prepared for that. So as we see more things happen, as we see more people add their content to the discovery menu, as we see people work out what happens, we're going to be doing a lot of adjustments and a lot of changes to how the searches work. We'll be adding new searches, and we'll be adding new ways of filtering and changing things. So be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get upset if you've worked out how to get to the number one spot on one of the slots every single time, and then later we change the system. We will
Exactly.
be trying to make it fair. We will be changing it as we go along.
I think because time is limited, I think we should get on to the exciting bit sooner rather than later, purely because I'd like to give people the option to ask questions that we may or may not be able to answer. I think there's a lot of people who are really interested to know what they can potentially do in the future with their now gained MetaCoin. So I don't know who wants to go for it and kind of explain what you have in store.
I think we have to let that be Chris, because this is his baby.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think anyone who was on it from the start has heard me talk many times about the fact that, for me, I believe, like, first Infiniverse and Multiverse and the metaverse as a whole needs to be something that is built and controlled by the people using it, not the developers facilitating it. So I think towards the end of this year, we're going to be taking the next big step in that direction with Infiniverse. And that step that we've been gradually building is to open up what we're calling property development. And the short version of it is that we're going to allow people to purchase the plots of land in Infiniverse, so the postcode cells that everybody knows about from Willer's maps. Every single one of them is going to go on sale, and people are going to be able to purchase them and decide what's on them and upgrade them. Ultimately, the goal here is to allow. We want to get out of being the people that decide where there's a city or where there's a drop or what's an interesting area or what isn't. It's time to transfer that to the people listening.
Yeah.
You guys.
And there's a lot of devils in details here, and I can't go over them all now, partly because they've not all been designed and partly because everyone would get bored. I do want to reassure people before the theorizing.
Before the panic starts.
Before there's a few things I want to reassure on. Firstly, we are going to sell all the land in Infiniverse. So that includes land that's already developed. However, land that is precious to people, we're going to make sure to a degree people can't modify. So if you purchase your own piece of land and build a beautiful park on it, ultimately it's up to you if you want to replace that park with something else. But while we will sell the planetarium park, it's going to be in effect protected land. You won't be able to destroy that. So if somebody will probably end up being the owner of a plot of land in the art district, but they won't be able to remove the art district statues. That's something we'll address, and we'll make sure that the existing places that people love can't be destroyed. And another thing we're going to make sure that we do out of fairness, really, is we know that there's some people who have passionately invested in individual areas over the past weeks and months, and we want to make sure that people who have really done that in effect get first dibs on those areas, put it simply. So we've implemented a system where the top investors in a given area, which is basically how many apartments you own near a given plot of land, will have 2 weeks up front, first dibs to purchase that plot of land before anybody else can. So Becca says, I've passionately invested everywhere. You get first dibs if you passionately invested somewhere. So I know, for example, if you're the person who's put the most into the art district, then you'll be the first person to be able to purchase the art district.
So the example of like Lakeside Mall, for example.
Lakeside Mall, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of weeks, which is chosen to allow people to, make sure they get back from holiday or can do things before holiday goes, or get a new quest if there's breaks. We'll be opening it up to everybody else. There's obviously many other areas to this. I kind of just want to reassure everybody that this is going to be a big change. It's going to affect the entire world, and we want to make sure that it's a positive thing. So we're going to be thinking it through. Vegas has just asked, what benefit do we get? So I will move on to the benefits. Firstly, the pricing of land. The way we're thinking of it is there'll be a base price of a plot of land that isn't particularly cheap. However, you'll then be able to get big discounts on a plot of land for all sorts of reasons. So for example, if you've in the past already purchased loads of apartments in a plot of land, you'll get a big discount on that plot of land because you've already invested in it. If you own really heavily populated plots of land nearby, then you'll get a big discount because you've invested nearby in building up land and getting people to buy into it. Or if you've made areas pretty by buying statues there, you'll get a discount. And we're probably also going to just apply a big discount for everybody on their first few purchases so that everybody can get involved. So it's an interesting pricing model. We think it's the right way to go. So the reason we're kind of going that way is we want to encourage people to build cities here. We want to encourage people to build up and create new grand centrals. So a lot of the ideas will be built around making it beneficial to people to work together to build interesting new places, rather than just randomly buying random lots of land all over the place. So from a business perspective, you can really think of if you're an owner of land, you kind of take the place of FTL in many ways. So if you create a plot of land, you'll be able to place buildings on it, and you'll be able to upgrade those buildings over time. Those buildings will start with empty apartments in, and if that apartment is sold, then the owner will take most of the sale. FTL will still take a base platform fee, but it will be very small. Then similarly, very like NFTs, when properties on that land changes hands through player-to-player sales, just like NFTs, the owner of the land will be able to take a royalty. So that will be up to them, but we're talking the sort of low percents here. So that's the core business opportunity. If we introduce things like the jetpacks as a building utility, if we made it that certain building utilities were paid for, then the person who paid to create the building utility would be able to would be able to get the cash for people using it. So I'll give, Becca just asked what royalties. I'll give you a rough guide. FTL, I think I haven't confirmed it bang on. San and I need to discuss, but we're looking at the models that things like OpenSea use, which would be FTL taking a platform fee of 2.5% and defaulting landowners to take a royalty of 2.5%. So the end result would be a total 5%, which is what you currently pay now on player-to-player trades. We will let owners of land increase their royalty if they want to. FTL will take 2.5%. If you want to increase it, that's your call. It will obviously make your property less desirable, but that's for our users to decide, not us, and that's kind of the point here.
Everyone's already going to be warned not to buy in Beck's area because she said 50%. So
Yeah, well, I mean, but if Bex invests in stunning statues and amazing, beautiful scenery around her area, then maybe
Yeah.
people will be like, screw it, 50% done.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think the thing here from the business opportunity perspective is whether it's the purchase of the initial piece of land or purchasing upgrades with Metacoin.
Mm-hmm.
The goal, as with the real world, is to give you the opportunity to spend money on developing land
Mm-hmm.
and then make money out of it as a result, to allow you to upgrade it, just how a market works in the real world. So yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be big.
One of the questions that one of the people asked was, is there a way you're going to decide who has first dibs? Is there any kind of thing you're looking for as an indicator of, hey, X person has done X, therefore they get first dibs?
Yeah, as with many things, Chris, there's an algorithm.
Yes.
It is probably just going to be based on a very simple metric, taking the center of the plot of land and saying how many apartments or penthouses do you own within X meters of that center, so maybe 500 meters. And that information will be presented to you once we launch the initial feature. So everybody will be able to see what the status of it is. So the rough timeline, just to give you an overview, I don't want to settle on precise dates just yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're probably going to start allowing those top investors to purchase land around about mid-October, so middle to late of this month. Then early-ish in November, we'll be launching the ability for everybody to purchase plots of land. And then during December, we'll start releasing the features that allow you to actually upgrade your land and add to it.
Yeah. And just to clarify that, yeah. What you mean by top investors are people who have already heavily invested within areas of Infiniverse. So we're not saying you're sending people who have lots of money to go anywhere in Infiniverse, buy up everything. It's top investors in certain areas.
Yeah, just to clarify, because I think my wording might cause confusion. It's a quite deliberately very simple question.
Mm-hmm.
Top investors means who has bought the most properties near the center of a certain plot of land. And that information will be clearly presented to you in a menu when we launch it, so everybody can see from day one what those. We're actually going to list the top 5, so you can see what the spread is. It's not going to be some complex algorithm that people have to try and reverse engineer. I want it to be simple, so people can see who's there, who's going to get it. It's nice, easy. And I think a thing to really reinforce with this is, although not everybody is going to want to buy land, everybody is going to benefit, because it will create a more interesting world with more places to be, more places to see. I see this more as crowdsourcing the creation of Infiniverse than anything else. I think in the future, I've seen the question come up a few times. People are asking whether you'll be able to import your own 3D objects. Initially, we'll be providing sets of 3D objects to choose from as statues and drops. We may provide some that are sort of unique, there's only one of them, or some where there's like 20 of these and it's first come, first served. Our goal in the long run is to allow the import of 3D objects into the multiverse in all sorts of ways. But I don't think that's going to be, in the next couple of months. It's a very difficult thing to implement. A host of painful issues. So, yeah, I'm excited that I think it's going to change a lot because you just won't have to wait for us to do things.
Also, I know a question for sure that's going to definitely cut up and people might start panicking is, what about community created areas? So areas that exist where there may not necessarily one leading the way or who's purchased everything. So I know there's a few areas where there are a lot of people who have come together. How are they going to be considered?
How are they going to be considered?
Yeah, so that no one comes in and just like stops them from being able to continue in their vision.
I think that there's a little bit of a tone change that needs to be had with regards to that, because this isn't about I'm going to own it, I'm going to control it, and you guys are all my pawns within it. It's about creating a scenario where people that want to and have the passion for it can get involved and make something better.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about taking control and punishing people. It's about giving people the opportunity to do the wonderful things we've been doing, but giving that on a wider scale, on a bigger scale.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing to be aware of is that as this is a social VR application, social matters. Everything that you've got in there at the moment, from metaverses and locations, you can actively get involved in working together on making those locations better. You can have managers of those locations. So if I've got a metaverse and I can add a manager, those managers can edit the metaverse. We're going to be looking at ways for the land to be allowed to work together and socially. So that, I think Chris has shared some screenshots in the past that might give a bit of a hint here. Chris, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I've shared some of those screenshots of the map of Infiniverse. That's what the editor would be. So, and a big part of that map room is I want to make sure that, I mean, yes, there is ultimately going to be an owner of a plot of land, but people will be able to be in that space together, designing it. And I hope, perhaps not initially, eventually, but to actually implement systems where you can say, assign a plot of land to a metaverse, so everybody who's part of that metaverse can modify it or something along those lines. I don't think that's going to be version 1, but this idea of a community being able to control a piece of land makes sense to me. Yes, there still ultimately has to be a boss in most situations. Even in a nice friendly community, normally there's a community leader. But communal development of the land is definitely something we care about and want to promote. Yeah. I think that's the. I'd say that's my summary of the of how that element of it's going to work. It's a fun room though, just in general.
I was going to say, you haven't given us access yet.
Exciting.
We're really interested. No. You're hoarding it away to yourself, Chris.
It's power. I like power. What can I say?
Yeah, the going in there and standing with somebody else and looking down for an area of the map is quite amazing. I think the future opportunities for people to be able to take this in the directions that they want to take it in are going to be really amazing. I think it's going to allow for people to team up, group up, and really take, make things go to town on what they want it to be. I mean, at the moment, you guys are waiting for us to validate a district by dropping something there. That isn't a sustainable option. That isn't a scalable option. That isn't something that works into the future. And we need to give you the tools that we've got, and then we need to build more tools and give those to you as well. So this is a long-term play. This is a long-term plan. This is something that isn't for everybody, but at the same time, it is something you can expect to start being able to do now, and you'll be able to see increased access to more and more content. The thing that I'm a little bit, imagining, and I might be speaking a little bit too fast or a little bit too from my imagination here, but if you can see at the moment, we can do things like we can add drops, we can change land, we can add a building that's limited height or exclusive, we can make buildings unlimited, we can change a park layout to have trees or have lakes, we can add a drop to an area or statues in a park, we can change the skin of a building and we can make an area look like New York, or we can make it look like Grand Central. Imagine all of that, but taken, up a notch. Imagine that coming to you and becoming available to you over the coming months and over the next year. And it won't be quick. You won't get everything as quickly as you want, because no matter how fast we code or how many people we hire, nothing we do is fast enough. And that's cool. We get that. A voracious appetite for consumption is fantastic. But that core concept of you guys getting the power is what we're in here for. I think Chris said something one day that was like, yeah, that's it. It's like this is the metaverse by the people, for the people. And that's what we want. We don't want to be in the situation where you can point to us and say, you guys are unfair because you gave that area drop and not this area drop.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, you're right. That's a thing that we've had to make a choice on. We've gone in and we've said, well, we've got a limited amount of opportunity to do X, Y, and Z. We're choosing X. And sometimes we make a mistake, or people get upset because we put the wrong drop in. And that's a decision that is obviously being made by gods of the metaverse, which is us at the moment. We don't like that. We don't want that. We don't want to be the gods. We want to give you the power to be the gods. We want you to control. We want you to define. We want you to have the abilities that we've got and more.
Yeah.
So you can expect to see that coming.
Yep. Yeah. And I think one thing to reiterate, as San says, the feature in itself, developing a plot of land is, San said correctly, it's not going to be a feature everyone wants to partake in, but it will benefit everybody. That's the beauty of a feature like this, and it's an aspect we try and get into everything we build, is making sure that we might add a feature. I mean, even like the discovery menu, custom events. Not everybody is going to make custom events, but those custom events will benefit everybody who comes online, because they might have something new to see. And that's what this is going to be. Infiniverse will become a bigger, more interesting place to be. And whether or not you were a creator of it or just a consumer of it, it's still going to make for a more interesting experience.
Yeah. And I know there are a lot of questions that obviously people will have today and in the next few days that we just won't be able to give you answers to until we're further along the development process. So don't be disappointed if we haven't been able to answer your questions on this. But just keep in mind, it's just like the discovery menu, it's a consistently developing feature, and more about this will be shared as it's developed. Because we've said previously, unless we're certain of things or unless we are comfortable that it's going to be that way, we won't tell you about it or give you any false truths or incorrect promises. One thing that I know that not a lot of people seem to have picked up on, or that would be interested in to mention, the last video we released, we teased some new apartment templates. Any idea how that would tie in? Would that be something to consider as well?
I mean, these things are all going to gradually tie together more and more over time. You already see it. I mean, I think the more interesting immediate ties to this feature are going to be things like, well, you've seen in the discovery menu we've added the ability to jump to all landmarks. You've seen in the discovery menu we've added events. And we add the ability to create your own plots of land and add your own landmarks. And then you create events that are based around that landmark that can jump people straight to them. And suddenly you can create city opening, you can open cities, have events. Everything ties together that way. I'm sure people will find interesting ways of linking these features to the use of the new templates in all kinds of ways that I haven't thought of yet. It's my favorite thing in all my years of making user-generated content, is seeing people make stuff I didn't think they could do. It's always the most satisfying moment.
Exactly. I think that the bingo hall that Dave's created is a nice example of that. The connecting of doors and rooms to play bingo, and now apparently Cluedo is in development as well. I never would have thought of that.
The great thing about that is, at the moment, where is that? How do you find that? How do we promote that? Now, with the discovery menu, that's going to be something that we can actually promote. We can feature. That can be up there on the banner, and it can be a place that we can point people to. There's so many things coming together here where we can empower everybody out there to do cool things. And when they do cool things, we can empower everybody else to find it and see it and experience it. That's what we're about. That's what we want. That's what this is all about. And creating scenarios where we empower you to do what it is you want to do. And that's, obviously, that's the world, isn't it? That's what happens in the real world. And that's what we're doing here.
Exactly.
So find a way to stand out. We'll help you stand out. Find a way to do something cool. We'll help everybody else find that cool thing. Find a way that you want to make certain people that care about districts really, really, really passionate about caring, about making something awesome in that area. Great. Here, we're going to give you the tools to be able to do that. And you won't have to be, sitting on your bushes saying, oh, well, this month FTL didn't drop anything in my place. FTL is silly. I wish they would, blah, blah, blah. And you're right. We should have dropped it in all the places. But now, you know what? You're going to be able to do that yourselves.
Exactly.
That is going to be very powerful. And we're going to support you in promoting that, featuring that, driving people there, making sure people can see it, find it, get there.
I already predict 5 user drops a week. No one's going to be able to catch up fast enough because they're all excited and everyone's going to have their heads exploding from too much excitement. And they're going to be all over the map. I don't know if you also noticed how increased the activity has been over the last few days, purely because people are coming back to the app just because they're excited to see the discovery menu, and also the time of year as well. I know that it's colder here. I'm staying more inside than I ever was. So I can imagine the sheer amount of activity in the app for creating land development, as well as exciting events and coming together to create drops, user created drops. There's just going to be so much going on. I'm really excited for it.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Absolutely.
It's, I think the thing to remember here is a couple of things. Just like we do with everything, we are still in pre-beta. We are still, going through a process of building product while you're in it. Couple of things to remember are we will be unlocking new things and new information about this, about the whole, property development side of things over time. Stay tuned for that. You can expect to see things like, and I'm not making any promises here, but the map on the mini map updating to show information that will help you understand stuff. Access to panels that show, who is at the top of the roster for that plot of land, so you'll be able to work it out. Stuff that will help you work out how to achieve these things. They'll be coming. They probably won't be coming fast enough or quick enough or big enough or whatever it is. Apologies in advance. But those will be appearing soon, and we will be pointing you to them and making a deal out of them on Discord and all the other channels that we've got, and we'll be making sure that you can get access to this in a way that is fair and rewards the people that have really put effort into places. We want to help you do more of that, because we love and appreciate everything you've done in building up those districts and those areas. We admire it, and we want to help you do more of that. So our goal is to ensure that you can. So keep that in mind. Keep a lookout for more information coming soon, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing at the moment is going in and checking out everything that people have done in the discovery menu and seeing all these cool banners and locations. That's just fantastic. But I can't wait to walk around the world and see, oh my God, I'll be surprised by the fact that somebody's added a drop, and I'll be running up to buy in that plot saying, oh my God, this is awesome. That's what I want. That's going to be so much fun. Yeah.
There's a lot of people asking if you'll be able to buy blank land and stuff. So the answer to that is yes. And I'm toying with the idea of making the Infiniverse land area the size it was originally intended to be, which is the size of the surface of the Earth. But we haven't decided on that one yet. I think we'll see how the initial feature goes and go from there. But you will definitely be able to buy the blank land.
Yeah, I think that
whilst
would be
I'm not certain we'll see it initially, I definitely want to make it that you can also terraform in the long run.
before we end today's session, please explain how or when people are expecting to see jetpacks, because right now even San is spamming in the AMA jetpacks. So
we thought about it, and we decided that jetpacks are a very good example of one of those things where we didn't know where to put them. And we knew everybody would have an opinion of where to place down jetpacks in the world, and we would hit, drop anger city, and it would be unfair. So we're going to be releasing jetpacks at the same time as this feature, and it's going to be up to the community to decide where they want to put them.
Yeah. Woo! That's the better option for sure. Woohoo! Awesome. Well, hopefully that will calm down the jetpack demand, because that pressure is getting a little bit too much. But yeah, I think that's all we've got time for today. I'm sorry if we didn't answer your questions, but we hope that your new spicy information will start you getting really excited about and making plans for future property development. This video VOD will go up on YouTube for you to listen to again later. It'll also be in the update room. So for now, thank you, Chris. Thank you, San. Do you have anything you want to sign off on before we leave?
Yeah, a couple of things. So watch out for incoming templates. Wendy's done some amazing work that's going to be hitting your faces soon. And obviously Halloween is coming, so consider that in amongst everything else and all the other excitement. Be aware that we've got a new person join the team this month, Stephen. He's with us and is working on servers, so they've been defragged and everything. And the value of that, just to be clear, that's something that's so cool, because we can actually have a server engineer to work on both multiverse and also the game that we're developing. So the value of adding the game to the roster of things that we're doing is extremely powerful, because it's letting us add people that can benefit both projects. So just wanted to shout those things out. I also wanted to say Leon's not around, but we should all give Leon a huge woo! Leon, you rock!
Well done, Leon. You have changed everyone's world.
Exactly, because Leon made the discovery menu, and it's freaking awesome. So well done, Leon. There's loads of other people on the team who are doing loads of other cool things. I want to be able to give everybody a shout out, but I'm going to quickly just say, Dora, thank you so much for helping everybody get the stuff ready for the discovery menu. It's been absolutely amazing to see those banners in there, and I know you've helped a lot of people do that, so thank you. I'd like to thank the art team who've been working on other things that you're going to find and see soon, and I'd also like to thank Ollie, who managed to submit a huge amount of updates yesterday. That was awesome. Well done for making the bugs that meant we could update it so much.
Cool.
Yep, absolutely. I have a simpler sign-off note, just to, I guess, reassure and say massive changes like this are awesome, and that I know they can also be scary, but we, as always, will work our hardest to think through all of the implications of what we're doing, and try and make it a positive thing for everyone. Yeah, that's our goal here.
Awesome.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, don't panic. You're going to really think things through. You already have done. The amount of things you've thought through and the scenarios that you've been discussing with us are exactly what we're seeing question-wise. So we're on the right thought process, and nothing's going to be rushed.
Did my wife literally just step into the chat and say, "Isn't that what Liz Truss said about the budget?"
Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
Wow, Wendy. Wow.
Yeah, well, I like to think I'm a little bit better at maths than Liz Truss. Let's just say that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Well, on that note, comparisons of Liz Truss and Chris. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to catch up on the video when it goes up on YouTube shortly. And we look forward to telling you more about the development over the next few days.
Yeah, we'll talk to you more about stuff online soon. Make sure you're in there checking it out, and think about which district you want to own.
Oh yeah. For Cryonic Circus. Okay.
Plot, not district, San. We've got so many different words.
I don't know.
Plot. Postcode. All right. Okay then.
Postcode.
Good evening, everyone.
Go later.
Toodles. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.